My 34th birthday. Not exactly a milestone, not a big round number, but after months of emotional drought, I hoped it would be a fresh start. Julie, my wife, soon to be my ex-wife, had been saying all week that she was planning something really special. She texted me Saturday afternoon, "Meet me at my parents' house tonight. You'll be surprised." It felt strange. Julie's parents' house was the last place I'd expect for a cozy birthday celebration, but I thought to myself, maybe she's trying to fix things. Maybe this is her way of bringing us back together. I changed into the shirt that Julie once said looked great on me, drove through the quiet suburbs, and pulled up to the white mansion where judgments were often served with expensive wine and piercing glances aimed at my self-esteem. As I walked in, I immediately knew something was off. The air was thick with silence. No happy birthday, no warm smiles. Everyone, her family, a few friends, relatives, stood around the living room, champagne glasses in hand, as if they were waiting for a performance. Julie appeared from the kitchen, her smile crooked, avoiding eye contact. She walked toward me holding a brown envelope. I thought it was a travel voucher or some strange gift. She looked at me, then said the words that would change everything. "Todd, I'm leaving you for someone who isn't a disappointment." The room went completely still. Then, her father burst into laughter, a wine-filled laugh full of disdain. "Finally, the girl woke up," he muttered, popping open another bottle of champagne. I stood there frozen. My ears rang. My heart didn't race. On the contrary, it was beating so slowly, as if trying to stretch the moment when I'd realize my marriage had just been publicly executed. Julie shoved the divorce papers into my hand. The paperwork was all filled out. Only my signature was missing. Her mother started pouring wine for everyone, a celebration for getting rid of me. I looked at Julie. She didn't shed a single tear, no remorse. Her lips curled into a triumphant smile, waiting for me to break down, cry, or beg. Instead, I asked her, "Does anyone have a pen?" The whole room froze. Her father, Bronson, sneered, pulled out a Mont Blanc pen from his jacket, and handed it to me, as if granting me one final favor. I walked up to the pristine white marble kitchen counter, placed the envelope down, and signed it. Each line, each word, not a single word spoken. The only sound in the room was the scratch of the pen, occasionally interrupted by awkward throat clears. I folded the paper, set it back down on the counter, turned to Julie, looked her in the eyes, and said, "Thank you for the birthday gift. I think this is the best gift I've ever received." I turned and walked away. No curse words, no glance back, just complete silence from the room. I left that house like someone who had just walked out of a fire, burned but still alive. I got in my car, drove aimlessly, the night wind hitting my face, as if trying to wake me from the nightmare that still lingered at the back of my neck. I ended my birthday night at a dull bar nearly 30 miles from home. 3 whiskeys later, I wasn't numb anymore. The cold in my heart had shifted into something else. Not sorrow, not panic, but rage. A cold, simmering rage, quiet and still, not loud, not screaming, but sharp as a knife. I knew I was at a crossroads, one road, the familiar one. Endurance. Lowering my head, accepting I was the one left behind. On the other side was the road I'd never walked. The road of a man who finally realized his own worth. That birthday night, I didn't sleep. Not because of sadness or shame, but because I was sharper than I'd ever been. Sharper to the point of coldness, sharper to the point of danger. I sat on the creaky wooden chair of the bar, one hand holding my whiskey glass with no ice left, the other scrolling through the messages Julie had sent. The first message, "I thought you'd fight for me." Fight? She didn't need a fighter. She needed someone to surrender, someone to wear her shoes while she walked ahead. But this time, I wasn't Todd the accommodating, Todd the accepting, Todd the enduring anymore. I pulled out my phone, searching for a name I never thought I'd call at midnight. Larry D. Morrison, divorce lawyer and an old college buddy who once told me, during a drunken night, "If your wife ever turns into a nightmare, call me. I don't work miracles, but I know how to make even hell scared." The phone rang only 3 times. "You called at the perfect time," Larry said, his voice groggy, then listened as I briefly summarized everything in 2 minutes. After a moment of silence, he laughed. A dry, cold laugh. That bastard Bronson, the so-called clean father-in-law? Ha, this is getting good. Send me everything you've got. The next day, I went to the small apartment Larry had rented near the county courthouse. The desk was piled with files, markers, a printer still steaming, and a mountain of property division papers. Larry raised an eyebrow when I told him about the divorce papers handed to me like a sentence. His eyes lit up when I showed him the screenshot of the suspicious messages between Julie and a colleague named Ronan, the young guy with the deceitful smile. "You know what you've got here?" Larry asked. "This is gold." I was silent, not because I didn't know, but because for the first time, I wasn't going to let it slide. Julie used to think I was weak, and yeah, there were times when I was. I'd gritted my teeth and tolerated it when she came home smelling of another man's cologne, with that evasive look in her eyes and her lips always saying, "You're overreacting." I used to think love was about sacrifice, that if I was good enough, patient enough, she'd come back. She'd come. I was wrong. Love isn't begging. It isn't sitting by while someone crushes your self-esteem, thinking they'll change. 2 days later, Larry filed an official response with the court, a rejection of the unilateral divorce, and included evidence of infidelity based on electronic proof. Julie didn't expect me to fight back. I knew that because she was still texting me. "Todd, we need to talk. Don't make this a war." "What are you doing? I don't want this to go this far." Not want it to go this far? Then what was she doing with the divorce papers handed to me in the middle of a birthday party, surrounded by champagne glasses and the mocking laughter of her entire family? "No, Julie, this isn't war. This is the consequence." I left the old apartment at 5 a.m. quietly, just like how I had lived in my marriage. Silent, submissive. I rented a small apartment, just enough for one person, with a balcony overlooking the trees lining the street. There were no fake laughs, no judgment-filled dinners, no Julie, just me, and a hot cup of coffee. I began to reconnect with the things that used to make me happy. I listened to the old music Julie used to complain was so outdated, and I returned to the gym. The first 3 months were hell. My body was weak, my shoulders ached, and my heart raced like crazy every time I did cardio. But I was patient. I wasn't building my body to prove anything to anyone. I was rebuilding myself. Step by step, I gathered the ashes of a man who had been left behind in the middle of his own birthday party. Step by step, I rebuilt my life from the ruins Julie had left behind. Not fast, not loud, but steady, solid as oak, like the hinges I had just oiled a few days ago. When you spend your whole life being submissive, people forget that you can stand tall too. But now I stand tall, and this is just the beginning. I used to think betrayal was when someone turns their back on you. But no, betrayal is much worse than that. It's the moment you realize the person who used to lie next to you every night, the person you called family, they've been holding the knife for a long time, just waiting for you to turn far enough away so they can stab you deep. And I turned. I was blind. Until one day when I opened the folder named Work Presentation in the cloud account Julie and I had once shared. I wasn't looking for it. I just wanted to download a few old photos. But when my mouse hovered over that folder, something inside me urged me to click. What appeared before me wasn't an Excel file, nor a quarterly revenue report like she'd claimed. It was a collection of nearly 300 screenshots of text between Julie and Ronan. The co-worker, the lover, the bastard who had shown up at the company party where I stood, out of place, surrounded by people dressed like they were shooting a high-end perfume ad. The text started from 8 months ago, when she was still lying in my arms, still saying "I love you" every morning. They had everything: pet names, selfies in the elevator, bed photos with the sheets. That were mine. Plans to leave me. And confessions. "You're not like Todd. You have ambition. You know how to make me feel satisfied." I didn't go crazy. I didn't smash anything. I printed out every page, every single line. I highlighted with a marker the parts where Julie lied to me, but told the truth to that guy. I don't love him anymore. It's just convenience. Convenience? What was I? A refrigerator? A stove? I sent everything to Larry, and for the first time, I saw that tough guy laugh like a kid getting a new bicycle. We've got infidelity. We've got deception. We've got a clear plan to defraud assets. You should buy a lottery ticket, Todd. You're on a roll. At the same time, I began digging deeper. I wanted to know how long Julie and her family had been playing this dirty game. I remembered Bronson, my father-in-law, the man who had openly looked down on me, the one who always said I was just a poor imitation of the man his daughter deserved. I started digging into the business records of his company. With a few college connections and a little grease in the right places, I uncovered something I never imagined. Bronson's real estate company was under investigation for money laundering and financial fraud. The so-called model entrepreneur he preached about on LinkedIn was nothing more than a hypocrite. And Julie? Julie used to work as the accountant in charge of tracking internal costs. In a few internal reports, her name showed up in shady transactions, signed with her handwriting. Julie wasn't just cheating. She was an accomplice. I didn't immediately blow everything wide open. I didn't want a shock and awe move. I wanted a long game. Every strike carefully planned, every knockout timed. I started sharing these findings with an old friend who worked in financial media. Not publicly, just hints, suggestions, quiet waves. I also reconnected with an old college buddy who now works for an investment firm that once partnered with Bronson. A 90-minute coffee, I didn't say much. Just asked, "Did you see last year's report?" When I left the coffee shop, the smile on my face was no longer fake. Julie had no idea. In her mind, I was still the old Todd, the boring, easily manipulated guy who would beg her to come back once I lost everything. But the old Todd was dead. The moment I found out about her affair, I didn't get caught up in emotions. I acted immediately. I moved out of the shared apartment within 2 days. No warning. I had my lawyer friend transfer all the paperwork, bills, and accounts into my name. I locked out the cloud access and disabled all our joint bank accounts. Julie only realized I was gone when she tried to log into Netflix and couldn't. That night I got the first message. "Todd, what's going on? Is the account broken? Can you check it for me?" I didn't respond. I knew she'd gradually realize. There was nothing broken. Everything had been set up meticulously. I moved into a small apartment near the park, somewhere I could hear the wind rustling through the trees, instead of Julie yelling at me for forgetting to buy the right kind of unsweetened almond milk. I cleared away every trace of my old life, and for the first time in years, I felt a weight lifted off my chest. Julie had been her family's pride. The good daughter, the smart one, married to a stable man. Even though I knew they never liked me, I had been the one to maintain her image for years. Now with the truth exposed, that she had lied, deceived, and ripped apart our marriage to chase after Ronan, the whole thing was about to come crashing down. And the first arrow hit Bronson, the hypocritical father-in-law. The leads I provided to my friend in finance finally reached the media. An investigation was launched, and his real estate empire started to crumble. A major investor who was once my classmate pulled their investment. A contact at the bank informed me, they're reevaluating all loans under Bronson's name. Nothing was public yet, but I knew they were feeling it every second. After Ronan kicked her to the curb, she started spiraling down fast. No more fancy apartment. No more car that her dad paid for and maintained every month. No more wine parties. No more quick getaways to Santorini. Just a woman, frail and sleeping in her own car, hoping for someone to pity her. And the only name she could think of was mine. She texted, she called, she left messages under my posts on social media. I read them all, but I didn't reply, until the night she parked outside my house, and I showed up. I didn't yell. I didn't scold her. I invited her in, made coffee like nothing had ever happened. She thought it was a sign of reconciliation, but it wasn't. It was a sign that I had grown beyond my pain. When Julie started bargaining, her voice trembling, saying she'd learned her lesson, that she'd change, I just sat there drinking coffee, quietly watching her cry. Then I said, "Thank you for leaving me. Thank you for showing me what the world really looks like. Because of you, I can finally be true to myself." She froze. And when I said, "You can sleep on the couch tonight because it's cold," But tomorrow morning you need to leave. It pierced through the pride of someone who once thought the world couldn't turn without her. The next morning I made breakfast, because that's what a decent person does. She ate in silence, chewing every bite like she was swallowing memories. When she left with a small backpack on her shoulder, I knew my life had turned a new page. Julie asked me if I'd ever forgive her. I answered, I've forgiven. Not for you, but because I deserve peace. Someone asked me, are you happy, Todd? After everything that's happened, do you feel lighter? I usually smile and reply, I've never felt more like myself. 6 months after that night, I moved out of the temporary apartment and into a small 3-bedroom house, not far from downtown. No balcony with an ocean view, no cedar wood bathtub like Julie had once dreamed of. But here, the light floods in every morning, and I no longer have to bend myself to please anyone. I built a pine bookshelf with my own hands, filled it with novels I'd always wanted to read, but never had the time for. I bought a few plants, placed them by the window, and for the first time I didn't let them die. I got a dog, a 3-legged pit bull named Max, abandoned outside the shelter. Maybe Max understood the feeling of being looked down on, of being left behind, because he never left my side. I didn't become cold-hearted after the ordeal. No, I didn't take revenge like they expected. I returned every wrong gift with silence. I rebuilt every broken piece with my own hands. Julie, the woman who used to be the one who shaped my world, is now just a name in my past. She left for the last time, with a backpack, shattered dreams, and hollow eyes. And me, I stayed. With the house, with Max, and a new sense of self that no longer had cracks. Do you remember the woodworking hobby that Julie once called old man stuff for retirees? It's now a small Etsy shop with regular customers and even custom orders. The profit isn't much, but every dollar I make is clean. No need to trade my dignity or self-respect. And the best part? I don't need to please champagne-filled parties, hypocritical fathers-in-law like Bronson, or a wife who always saw me as a walking failure. I just need to live true to the man I want to be. At first, I thought my 34th birthday would be the day I lost everything. But turns out it was the day I was reborn. That party with champagne, mocking laughter, and the divorce papers wasn't the end. It was the shot that marked the beginning. Julie taught me that the people you love can betray you. Her family taught me that wealth doesn't equate to nobility. And me, I taught myself this. Surviving isn't just about breathing, it's about daring to walk through the darkness to find the light. I still wake up early every morning, make coffee, walk Max around the park. At night I read, fix up some woodwork, and sometimes I get old messages from people who once hurt me. Julie still texts occasionally. No more begging. Now it's quiet apologies. I don't respond. I don't think it's necessary anymore. Because I know in the end, life chose me to be the survivor. Not the winner, but the one who knows how to forgive, how to be reborn. And if you're in the darkest place of your life, if you've just been betrayed, dragged down so far that you think you can't get up again, remember this, they couldn't kill you, and you will survive. To live better than all of them. If you feel that this story has touched your heart in some way, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. Don't forget to share this video with someone who needs a spark of hope, because sometimes just one story can save a heart that's lost its way. And if you want to keep joining me for deep, dramatic, transformative stories like this, hit the subscribe button so every time we release a new video, you won't miss a single journey. I'll see you in the next story. And remember, even in the darkest days, the light always starts from within you. Wishing you a life where you never have to bow your head. Thank you for listening to my story.